You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters. Well, this is going to ruffle the feathers of one group out there that calls themselves Tuanon. Okay, and I'm talking about massive Tua Tagovailoa fans. Now, for full disclosure, I like Tua a lot. I do. Now, I tend to root for all of these Alabama quarterbacks, Hurts, Jones, Tagovailoa, all of them. Okay, I just watched a lot of Alabama football. It's not going to be the same without Tricky Nicky there, but I'm rooting for these guys as they come out. Bryce Young, too, pulling for him, even though I'm sort of worried about him now. I mean, he does look awfully small out there, doesn't have an elite arm. It's concerning. It is concerning. But an NFL executive has come out and made some pretty striking comments that does give you some pause when you think about it from the perspective that they're talking about. You see, the Dolphins are closing in on having to give Tua a big-ass contract. Okay? Kirk Cousins is going to be a free agent. He's also going to get, for lack of a better way of putting it, a big-ass contract. This NFL executive poses the question, why not, if you're the Dolphins, trade Tua? You probably will get 2 draft picks back. All right, now what draft picks? I don't know. My gut feeling would be like maybe 2 third-round picks or a second and a third, something like that. All right? And then sign Kirk Cousins. So essentially, you're paying the same amount of money, but you're getting a very good, Kirk Cousins is a good starting quarterback. He's not getting nearly enough credit. But you're trading your one quarterback out for the other with a sort of similar skill set, even though I think Kirk Cousins throws a better deep ball, but he's older, okay? So, in other words, you might not have a quarterback for 10 more years. You just may have a quarterback for 3 to 4 more years, all right? But, in other words, if you're going to spend the money, why not spend the money and get the draft picks as well? It's an interesting way of looking at it. And for 2 quarterbacks, and just to give you an idea, when you look at these are Pro Football Focus's end-of-the-year quarterback rankings. You'll see they're real close. Tua's ranked 7th. Kirk Cousins ranked 9th. And I'm telling you this, Kirk Cousins, when he got hurt, he was having an MVP type of season. Go look at Kirk Cousins' numbers for the amount of games he played. In fact, let me just click on Kirk Cousins because he was putting up some pretty absurd numbers. After I clicked on it, I guess PFF is not going to load up. Really? There we go. And let me just click on this so we can get... When he got hurt, he had already thrown 18 touchdowns, only 5 picks, and had 2,331 yards. You may be like, is that great? Guys, he only played like a half a season. He was on pace for something like 35 to 40 TDs, 4,000 to 4,500 yards, and only about 10 picks. He was going to have a top 5 season in the NFL statistically at quarterback. So let's look at this article. This came by way of, this is USA Today, but by way of Mike Sandow of The Athletic. The Dolphins are coming off of an 11-6 season that saw them knocked out of the playoffs after just 1 game for the 2nd year in a row. Now head coach Mike McDaniel and company have a decision to make at quarterback with Tua Tagovailoa entering the final season of his rookie deal with a 5th-year option worth $23.17 million. While the Dolphins have a number of options to proceed with Tagovailoa, The Athletic's Mike Sandow, a guy I respect a lot, that really does a lot of good articles, and he does that yearly quarterback ranking. Mike Sandow provided one that hasn't been discussed much, trading him. In Sandow's article, he lays out 3 choices Miami could make with Tagovailoa, which includes allowing the quarterback to play out his fifth-year option or extending him now. However, the most palatable idea in Sando's mind is for the Dolphins to trade Tagovailoa and sign Minnesota Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins, who is set to be a free agent in March. I'm going to tell you why this makes a little sense. It's no secret. Kyle Shanahan is a massive Kirk Cousins guy. In fact, Shanahan believes Kirk Cousins is like the number one guy to run his system that him and his dad, Mike Shanahan, created. They drafted Kirk Cousins. Okay? He's always been this huge Kirk Cousins guy. I just wonder. It's going to be interesting. I know they have Brock Purdy. He's making almost no money. This is Shanahan's chance. If he wants Kirk Cousins, he could go get him. Okay? If the Vikings don't franchise him, something like that. But we know the Dolphins coach, Mike McDaniel, was what? The offensive coordinator under Mike Shanahan and has been on Shanahan's staffs for years. All right? It makes sense that Mike McDaniel would believe Kirk Cousins would also run that offense very, very well. All right? If Shanahan does, McDaniel does. All right? So, quote, "Your upside with Tua certainly seems limited," an NFL executive told Sandow. "So let's say you can trade him. I would be exploring. Okay, Tua, we can win games with him, but probably not a championship with. Kirk Cousins, we can win games, but probably not a championship. I don't know why not. I don't know why you can't win a championship with either one of them, to be honest with you. But our resources are better spent on Cousins plus draft picks that they get for Tua." That's interesting. That's interesting. Tagovailoa is coming off the best season in his career, where he led the league in passing yards and set career highs in yards, touchdowns, completion percentage, while playing 17 games for the first time since entering the NFL. Yeah, but you also have the concussion issue. All right, many people believe Cousins may be Tagovailoa may be one bad hit from being out of the league and having to retire, or maybe forced to retire. That's a real thing, folks. He talked about retirement before this last season started, that there was talk about it. Quote, "If you like Cousins and you can sign him to a 3 or 4 year deal and you can trade Tua for a couple of draft picks, that to me is a different path forward." That's interesting. I don't know if it is the best one. You really have to be in that building to know. But if you are looking for alternatives, there's a pretty good one. Cousins will be 36 in 2024 when the season begins. He's coming off a torn Achilles. Okay, that's an issue, no doubt. That has been a career-ending injury for a lot of players. Yeah, but not in today's society where medicals are, okay? Aaron Rodgers is fixing to come back from an Achilles. At 30, he'll be 40 years old. Betting on the veteran who does have experience in the McDaniel Kyle Shanahan system. He already knows the system, Kyle Shanahan, or Kirk Cousins does. To stay healthy and be as effective as he has been into his late 30s and early 40s is a high-risk proposition. At this point, it seems like too much of a gamble if the reports of Cousins looking for $90 million guaranteed over the next 2 years are to be believed. The Dolphins might be better out sticking the year out and seeing what Tagovailoa can do on his third season in the offense. Well, is he going to do any better than he did this year? I mean, those were great numbers. I mean, I don't think that's the problem. But let's be honest. I want you to think about that game against the Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead. And the fact that Kirk Cousins has just a little bit better of an arm than Tua Tagovailoa. Are you going to tell me right here, right now, and this is from somebody that likes Tua. I'm not a Tua hater. But if I'm being honest, do I think Kirk Cousins would have performed a lot better in that game versus somebody like Tua? Yeah, I do. I do believe that. I just think him being a veteran, having been out there and taken much more shrapnel and been in the line of fire a lot more, a veteran quarterback. Look, I think there's a world where Kirk Cousins could end up having a Matthew Stafford sort of end-of-career situation where if he goes to the right team, he might mess around and win a Super Bowl, you know? I think that's a thing. But he's got to go to the right team. The Dolphins are interesting. I never even considered it. But when you put it in these terms, it is interesting. I mean, the idea that essentially you may pay the same amount of money, maybe a tad bit more for Kirk Cousins, but I don't know about that. Yes, you trade off some years, maybe. What if Kirk Cousins plays well until he's 42? Got to ask yourself that. But similar or slightly better production, same amount of money, acquire 2 draft picks out of it. That is interesting. I had not seen that. I saw that and was like, "Oh, I'm doing a video on it." Because that's an interesting thought process. Around the same money, pocket 2 draft picks, have a quarterback for 3 to 4 years. I don't know. I'm going to put that out. I want to see what you guys think, but I think that's interesting. I really do. Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.